Hey everyone, my name's Kai. Welcome to our SaveStargate mission briefing. And I apologize, my dogs have encountered the most evil villain in all of history, the Amazon delivery driver, and they're not happy. But hopefully that's good and we can dial somewhere else in a minute. So today is our homebrew session 0. So before we start sending teams through the gate, I wanted everyone to meet our 2 Gatemasters, GMs, who are going to be running our missions. And we can hear directly from them about the worlds they've created, how their homebrew games work, and what both our players and everyone watching can expect once we go off-world. So we've got Linda and Brian here with me today. So I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves, and then we'll get into it. So how long have y'all been GMing, and what's your history with Stargate? Linda, why don't you start us off?
Oh, I discovered Stargate before Stargate hit the theaters. There was a Starlog magazine article hyping the coming movie and talking about how they'd done all the desert scenes with a cast of thousands, and which really they did a lot of cut and paste, but it looked like a cast of thousands. And I've always been very into costuming and very into ancient Egypt. So when I saw the costumes in the Stargate spread, I was like, I have got to go see this thing. And I went and saw it, and I don't remember who the boy was who took me on a date to go see that, but oh my God, I remember the movie.
As it should
I
be.
went and saw it a whole bunch more times. D&D I discovered very, very early on. I think it was like 79 or 80. It was just after the starter box kit came out. My dad was working at MIT Center for Space Research at the time. He's a person who worked on the Apollo rocket and various other things. Um, so there's always been a space interest in my family, and grad students around MIT were playing the new D&D game. And he thought on the recommendation of one of them that it would be something my brother and I would like. So the kit was a Christmas present that year. And I still have the old dice. Every single die was a different color, and they had sharp edges on them, and it had like one adventure in the starter kit. And my brother DM'd the first game because he was a year and a half older than I am. So he, being the senior child, got to do that, and I got to play the adventure. And I don't remember the first time I was a DM or a GM. I think it was because nobody else knew how to run the game, and we had people who wanted to play. And so I kind of made myself learn it. And I probably still don't play it exactly right. I've got my own style, and I always get people telling me that, no, you need to do this and compute that. And I'm like, but my table is having so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
To do that.
I agree. Rules lawyering is a hard one for me. I like to let your wings fly. Go for it.
We just kind of do what's right in the moment. And I will say up front, I run a lot of games for children. I've been in education for a long time, and I tend to run a lot of games for like 11 and 12-year-olds. So my table is not likely to have mass slaughter at it ever, and it's probably going to be a more family friendly game with a lot of thinking and problem solving.
Well, I love that sort of stuff. So, slaughtering can also be fun in moderation. Thank you for sharing that, Brian. How about you? Do you want to give us a little backstory or intro to Stargate and Dungeons and Dragons?
Not nearly as impressive. I don't know if I could top the MIT.
Yeah, that's
there. No, it was just, kind of the stereotypical Star Wars geek. My sister found a box of Star Frontiers at KB Toys. She bought it because she thought it was Star Wars. So that's what I got for my birthday. But Star Frontiers had the D&D tie-in, so it was a gateway drug. We started playing it, got into D&D, and then evolved into some of the other ones. What was it? Twilight 2000, and all that. And then just, even coming back out of the Army, we still got back into D&D, back through college and all that. And it just pretty much was my entire childhood, being the DM back then and the DM today. But yeah, Stargate, I still remember the Starlog. I mean, we all used to read that for everything sci-fi. And then between the movie and the TV series, and then when they came out with the book, I actually met the guys who wrote it and got hooked up with them to run Stargate when they first presented it at Gen Con, 6-8 years ago. So I started running it for them, and then after that, just started creating my own stuff as theirs kind of started to close shop due to the Amazon buyout. And but I've been running games in one fashion or another for somewhere of 40 years. But
well, that's awesome.
yeah, and I totally agree with there are no rules except for the rules that we all kind of bring, because inevitably we're going to forget something if the game's going right. We're going to screw something up if the game's going right.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of go with the flow of the table.
Those are the best tables, and those are the ones that last. And I am very positive and hopeful that our 2 tables will last quite a while. And I know you were talking about the Wyvern Gaming stuff, and I believe Linda also has some connections there. If you wanted to describe that for us.
Yeah, I wrote a couple of the adventures, and I came up with the plots for about 5 or 6 of them. So yeah, that was fun. That was during the pandemic, and yeah, it was a bit crazy. And I was so excited when I saw that they were looking for writers of adventures and people to come up with plots.
What was it?
The chance to actually write Stargate is just like.
Did you write what was it? Something of Fae. I can't remember the first part, but that's the one I ran for them.
Yeah, the Field of Reeds, and then I can't remember what they called the other one. I never
have them all
the name
somewhere.
of it. It got renamed 3 times, so
Well, I just remember because I had running it, and there was a point in it where there was a path where they could make 2 choices, which direction to go. One of them is obvious, but at the table, you always have the one person who wants to go the other direction, despite the rest of the party, so they split the party. And I had to figure out on the fly what to do with this guy taking the path down was not written into the adventure until it just got to the point where, you know what? You just encountered this, fight them by yourself.
That's the quickest way to teach someone to not split the party. All right. I'm sure many of us working our way through Dungeons and Dragons early on has had that little temptation or inkling to go do something to split the party. And I don't know a single person who hasn't faced the consequences and now been like, you know what, let's just stay together. I never split the party, and none of my D&D people here are to counter me. So
I realized though that almost every episode of SG-1 they split the party.
Yep.
That is so true. And you know what? It works out. So maybe the lesson here is that we need to split the party more. No, I'm joking. Teamwork, guys. But
there just might be one adventure in the series that purposely is designed to split the party.
Oh, okay. Okay. We're getting the deets. I'm getting all the information. I'm gonna win it. I'm joking. So we're talking about Stargate D&D and Wyvern, their 5e D&D. And so I'm kind of curious, what's your guys' favorite part of Stargate D&D versus like normal standard D&D?
For me, what I've always loved about Stargate is kind of the non-combat focus. They have the rules for combat and the fire teams and such. But I really love how the focus is a little bit more on the investigation and the narrative, more in line with some of the more modern RPGs that are out there versus D&D. I like to build little puzzles into the games or adapt even some board game techniques into the role-playing games, and just try to find little things in there for people to experience and solve versus fighting. And sometimes if they do choose to fight, it could actually have the negative consequences down the road, drawing more attention to them or causing more problems for them than they would normally have if they would have just chosen, to negotiate or to circumvent or to hide and wait and be patient, which nobody ever did.
That's true. I didn't think of that as an option when you said that.
Just trying to build those anti D&D things in there, just because everybody's going to go do them. And so that's what's fun about it. I think what they did a really nice job with the Stargate is to put that focus on the other half of the coin.
Awesome. Linda, did you have any favorite parts of Stargate D&D specifically?
Stargate in general, I've always really loved the humor that comes into it. There's always those little sort of, random moments where, Jack tells Daniel that the Tok'ra symbiote wants to date him, and that, the host wants to date Jack, and Daniel's kind of like, and little things like that, and like Jack correcting people's grammar in the middle of a torture scene, or it's like those little funny moments that it sort of lightens the what's going on, and sort of like grounds it and reminds you that this is TV and that it's not too serious, that we can make fun of ourselves. And then the sneaky things like my favorite episode, The Curse. All of the characters in that who are like guest characters have names of Green Lantern characters, and there are just like little Easter eggs like that. And there's tons and tons of that. So when I'm writing, I tend to try to sneak little things like that in, because I'm like, that's canon. We got to sneak stuff in. We got to put in those little humors and the Easter eggs, and the if somebody catches that, they'll have a good chuckle. But it's there, and it kind of feels like when you discover one of those that it's there just for you. It's like, oh, I get that. So I like that, and I like dropping things like that in. So
okay, I love that. I'm not going to catch them. They're going to go right over my head. But chat, I know you guys are going to catch them. And then you're going to point them all out. And I'm going to pretend I'm going to read your chat and your comments. I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, I saw what you did there with the thing. And I'm going to take credit for it. Okay. And you guys can't do anything about it. But no, that's awesome. I'm glad that the players and you and the audience will get to enjoy like seeing those little Easter eggs that really parallels the show, which is like really awesome. So since we're kind of getting into like how the game looks and all that under our next little section here, and I believe Brian touched on this lightly, but you can definitely expand. Do your sessions for your homebrew Stargate campaigns tend to lean more combat, role play, or exploration?
All the above.
Nice.
I really try to mix that in to keep it different. There's especially the first one's probably a little bit more scientific exploration-ish. But then there's one down the road that is totally detective, where it's a bit of a mole hunt because somebody is leaking information, and it's a little more puzzle solving because there's really no combat through the entire thing until the very end, and only if you make certain choices. You might run the whole adventure without a single combat scene.
Challenge accepted, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that.
And then one down the road that's very much alien-esque, a bit of a horror bit to it, where you are constantly battling this thing that's hunting you. But it's just kind of a mix of it because it's kind of a whole campaign series, just like the TV show. If there is one that feels a little heavy and dense, I might follow that up with something a little more lighthearted, just to give it kind of a break. I love the comedic aspect of not only the show, but how you can bring it into the game. And so I try to weave that in as much as possible, but every so often, it's just fun to sit there and hammer the folks and see what they do.
I'm not intimidated at all.
Though. I'm a very bad GM, and I don't like to I like to take people to the near-death moment, but not necessarily kill them, because that's no fun, because then nobody can play.
Guys,
but it
Brian's
is fun
covering.
when you get wounded pretty drastically and have to be carried by somebody now and then.
Okay, so what you're saying is I need to like schmooze my fellow players, my SG team members, so they carry me when I go down because you want to murder me.
If there's a medic and a scientific person, those are always going to be your best friends, the intelligence and the healing.
Yeah. If my fellow players are watching and you're going to play medic, I love you. I love you. Okay. Well, that's awesome. Linda, how about your campaign? Does it lean more combat, role player, exploration, or is it a good mix like Brian's?
Oh, I hope it'll be a good mix. The first adventure I'm gonna run is the one I wrote for this year's San Diego Comic-Con. So it's been played at table in the convention center a couple of times. And I felt like it was a good balance. And to give myself more writing time to come up with some other good stories, I'm going to do that one first, and then I'm going to segue into an ongoing storyline, or at least a recurring character sort of situation that'll be embarking from the SGC each time. And I'm gonna try to make it feel like we're really inhabiting that universe. And the show was always a really good balance of, let's solve the puzzle, let's, figure out this weirdness. We've got to fight somebody now. So I'm gonna try for that. I'm gonna try to strike a good balance and let my players use their brains and their brawn.
Hey, I love that. Yeah, that's a really good point. The show does do a really good balance of all those different aspects, and it's something that you don't even realize until you just are a super mega fan of the show and you rewatch it 50 billion times. I don't know who I'm talking about right now, but so yeah, that's a really good point, and I'm really excited that both of them are going to have little bits for each, because I know in D&D some people will lean more in one way. But that's the beauty of Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games. You can get all of it and everyone can be happy. So brains and brawn. I love that. So kind of getting into that, the players and like these different brains versus brawn and Stargate and being in the Stargate world. How much Stargate knowledge does somebody actually need to have before joining the virtual table to play?
One of my tables at Comic-Con was two guys who wanted to see what the game was like, who'd played a lot of other RPGs and had never played the Stargate game. Neither of them had any Stargate knowledge whatsoever. It meant that as GM, I had to do a lot more explaining and setting the scene. So I had to talk a bit more because they didn't have, the knowledge to come to the table with. So I think that it definitely can be accessible to someone who has little or no Stargate knowledge. It's very much on the GM at that point to, welcome them to the world and explain things. And if you had a mix of players, who knew the series, all of them really well, and newcomers, I think that would be awesome because, then the table would be teaching each other. There's always going to be the new airman at the SGC who's just walked in the door and only just found out about aliens.
That's true. That's a good point. That happens. There's tons of episodes with that. So, really good point. Awesome. That's good to hear. Brian, what about you?
Same thing. And I don't think I've ever had a table where everybody, at least part of the table, didn't know about it. And a couple times when nobody did, it's like you said, the table just kind of evolves the conversation as it goes. But at the end of the day, if they don't have any knowledge, then that's just an opportunity to tweak the story for them to be the self-discoverers, and then they learn along the way about what the opponents are and how they're impacted and how Earth's impacted and all that. You just weave it into the story as you go.
Awesome. Okay, so like leaning into that and leaning into the story and knowing that I think almost all of our players, maybe not our guest stars at times, are familiar with Stargate. So for everyone wondering who loves Stargate, where does your campaign fall based in relation to the Stargate program and like the series? Like if you could try to like say it's kind of near like this season in like rough terms of like enemies or knowledge or technology, what would you say for your campaign?
For mine just picks up like with the book, season 6, episode 8-ish. When they set up the Phoenix base and they start training everybody. So that's where it just picks up and takes off. And I try to keep it within that short window that exists within the lore. Haven't decided if I'm going to try to merge it back in with everything down the road. Yet we'll just kind of wait and see where it goes. That could be the end of the entire season, is when the whole piece gets destroyed. Could be a kind of a fun tie-in and bring it back, but we'll see where it goes. It's kind of fun sticking in that side of the house because it does bring in the opportunity to introduce some of the other races that they've encountered versus everybody just being human. And so it could be kind of fun merging that back in. And just, how do you handle some of these other races while they're walking around Earth? Not like a Tilk who could hide in pretty well. Some of the other ones would stand out quite a way.
I'd argue Teal kind of stands out, even when he was it's not supposed to stand out. So there's a favorite episode
in general.
Yeah. Okay, well, awesome. I love season 6. I mean, I feel like most people love season 6 of that. So it's a good time period. What about you, Linda? Where does yours fall?
The episode I'm gonna run first is, like I said, kind of a standalone, and it's set now. It's set in 2026.
Okay.
And it's it picks up with where the characters are now, or at least some of them. But it's very much a special one-off. I'm gonna go back, and the rest of what I'll be running through December is going to be set back late in season 1 of SG-1. So they'll have met the major races, or most of them. But there will be, other people they haven't run into yet. So I feel like that gives me enough background content to really write some exciting stuff that sort of parallels what's going on with SG-1, that they've gone and done stuff, and the team I'm calling SG-2
I
Because
love
they never get
SG2.
mentioned after Kowalski dies.
Yeah,
This is
that
gonna
wasn't
be
really good for
their
them.
adventures. Yeah.
2 is my favorite number. I was always like, oh yeah, SG2, let's go. And then, yeah, they just kind of fell off after Kowalski. So I'm glad you're bringing them back to life and you're bringing them into the light. And it can be fun for like both of yours to like, you know, the audience players. You can go like look through at the like episodes around that time to try to like get immersed into like the Stargate world there. So it sounds like a lot of stuff from the Stargate canon is transferring over. Are there any changes you've made to Stargate canon for your setting that are pretty major that people should know about? No?
No.
Okay.
I think as someone who writes, it's fun to try to be canon. It's fun to try to be accurate in the world. And this is a fandom that really loves the canon and wants that canon back badly.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole Save Stargate campaign.
Yep. That's why we're here.
We don't want it to be 6 teenagers in leather jackets, you know, who ride motorcycles through the gate. That's just not what we want. So,
okay, you say it like that and it sounds very funny, but not in a way that my heart wants. In a way where I want to be like, that's bad.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, I kind of want to ride a I mean, if I ships through it, I kind of want to ride a motorcycle through it.
I was just saying, it doesn't sound too terrible.
She's got her
I can see Teal'c doing
generator
it.
hooked up, never has to refill the tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, puddle jumpers, who needs them? Let's get some like race cars in there. Hold up, wait a second. No. I totally agree. That's why we're all here with Save Stargate. We want the version of Stargate that is true to the canon, true to the story, true to what we all love and have loved for years upon years upon years. So awesome. Love that the canon is good. Are there any, if you could like think of one major mechanic in this Stargate D&D in your campaign that might not be so familiar to people who have played regular D&D or to people who just know Stargate, what would you say is like one of the biggest mechanics or systems?
From running D&D, probably, I mean, there's, you know, it kind of depends on how, you know, there's bits of D&D and everything. But one that really stood out to me, one, I like their traverse encounter. It's kind of how they use a playing deck of cards to keep it a little bit random when you're just wandering from place to place, which is always kind of nice to build in something like that. Makes it, especially when the table can sit there and do the cards versus the DM rolling and looking on the table. It's a little bit more interactive with them. But what I like is the infiltration encounter, where their actions kind of, depending on what they do, can increase it or decrease it and basically make it easier or harder, along with the tension dice system, especially. Within there, I think it's a little bit unique and a lot of fun.
Okay, awesome. Linda, did you have any like specific things that stick out?
Not really. I do like the tension dice. I feel like that helps you kind of adjust the game so that you don't end up killing all your players, unless of course that's your thing.
I hope it's not the thing. I hope not. For me, when I was like reviewing the book and stuff, like as someone who's played majority like regular normal D&D, it was, I don't know why it was so a little bit of a shock, but like the technology and like the lack of like a common like spell system and stuff was a little, I was like, oh wow. And then the second thought was like, well duh. This is Stargate, this is sci-fi. This makes complete sense to me. But that was like the first thing, is that I was like, there's like a lot of different little parts and pieces that make a lot of sense for Stargate, whereas they're not necessarily in D&D. But I think it's pretty easy to catch on, and you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This is good. So that was my experience when I first started looking at the Wyvern rule book and everything.
Yeah. The one piece that I'd probably say I do differently from the book is the Zat.
Okay.
In the Stargate world, it's, shoot once, stun them, shoot twice, kill them, shoot 3 times, disintegrate. And there's all kinds of rollings for damage and stuff in the book. And I didn't like that.
It seems that is always
like Zats in my game.
It's interesting. I feel like Zats are one of the most they're like very divisive. Like they're like people either like them or they don't like them. I know when we were watching, my fiance and I, we were like, why didn't they bring them into Atlantis? Like, why would they not bring them with them through the gate? Why would you not want something to disintegrate? And so I just feel like it's such a, no matter what, whether it's in the show or like, I know Michael Shanks was talking about a lot of stuff, how he hated the Zats. And now in D&D, the Zats always cause problems. We just gotta get rid of them. They're cursed. So
I'm gonna be playing mostly season 1, so it's gonna be hard to come by them. We definitely won't have captured a whole lot of them, and not everybody's gonna be hauling one around. I think they'll show up as a special thing. And yeah, the writers always did think that they'd overpowered them.
Right.
Like overpowered them.
I don't think
they felt
typically don't have them. Just
Yeah.
because it just kind of ruins the,
Yeah.
it ruins the kind of the flow of everything. It makes it just a little too easy.
Yeah.
As a comedic thing, though, it can be kind of good.
Yes.
Yeah. I just remember that one thing. It was like, man, do you know how easy it'd be to fight the Wraith or like anything really with the Zat? Like,
bye.
Yeah, try to like suck my life. Like you can't. Bam, bam, bam. You're gone, dude. Like, and I was like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense why they wouldn't have them. It's like, why didn't they bring more Malps? Why didn't they bring? And then it's like Zats. So yeah, Zats. I'm sure were probably one of the biggest things the writers were like, yeah. It was funny though. So yeah, we got that. Okay, so not many Zats that we're gonna be seeing. So don't panic, guys, when you don't see them, and if you're a big Zat fan. So how important does technology, weaponry, and like loot work in your campaign? Like how important are they?
Loot. I don't think loot's as important in here. I mean, it kind of depends on the adventure and what your kind of mission and objective is. If your objective is to acquire something, sure, you're finding it along the way. But just because you defeat something doesn't mean you're going to get something. I'm very stingy. You got your gear that you're loaded up with, and that's what you start with, and chances are that's what you're going to end with if you're lucky. And hopefully you'll meet the objective. But if you just defeat the bad guy, you don't get a special P90 that's, loaded up with a special scope and all that kind of stuff.
What? That happened all the time in the show, though.
Like I said, I'm a little stingy when it comes to the rewards.
You don't remember all those P90s they found after defeating like on a ghoul? You don't remember that, guys? They were all over the place. No. Can we loot a ship? Do we get a ship? Like is that a thing too? Is that part of that technology? Like maybe not with yours, Linda. I think that they didn't. I don't remember when 302 and stuff got introduced exactly, but is that sort of technology in there?
That was a few seasons in before we had those. Although they borrowed a cargo ship now and again, especially if one of their Tok'ra friends showed up with one. That happened a few times. I remember Sam's dad flying in with one.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's definitely always the possibility of, running across those and,
Ooh.
capturing one that later, tragically blows up.
Oh no. Not my new nice shiny car. I relate to
It
O'Neill.
happens. Easy come, easy go.
And that is sticking to canon. O'Neill lost so many ships that he
Yep.
was so excited about.
Yeah.
So that's just the way the
Yeah.
cookie crumbles, guys. Okay, awesome. So I think we're gonna try to get into some like character specifics and then into like some table etiquette and stuff, some expectations for players and the audience. So teamwork versus the individual game. I'm assuming is teamwork going to play a very heavy role like it does in the show being versus the individual? Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't think you could do almost anything in Stargate without the teamwork aspect.
Okay. Awesome. And then for the players, are there I think you mentioned some earlier, Brian, assigned specialties like Daniel, archaeology, Sam, science, medic, all of that. So it's common for the players should kind of like really form the party around diverse specialties.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've been going back and forth with my players, and it looks like we've got a diplomat, an engineer, a medic, a scientist, and then my guest player is going to be a soldier,
Okay.
which I think
Awesome.
will give us a pretty good balance. And I mean, we can always adjust. And one of the fun things about this game is that people can kind of specialize in different things. So you can have a character add more skills and talents that are, different from what their main, job is as you go. So you can further balance the party by having people specialize in different things.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Is it similar for you, Brian?
yeah, it is. I mean, like I got some pre-gens and we're just starting to talk with the folks about who wants to play what and all that. But as fun as a balanced party is, sometimes it's also fun when it's not balanced.
Oh.
And you run into a situation where you realize you don't have anybody with an engineer and you need an engineer to do X. That means you're relying on everybody trying to, figure out how to do something. And it creates some more of the kind of the comedic moments, especially if they have to do it quickly. So while sure, I love a balanced party when it comes to the game, but doesn't mean that if I got 3 people that want to play the same type of character, go for it. Well,
Challenge
see what happens.
accepted.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
guys, we're gonna be a full party of just one type. Okay, we'll die every session, but we'll just re-roll. It's fine.
Or maybe
We'll
you'll
just
learn how to pick a lock along the way.
you see exactly. I mean, I saw not so much Carter, she was already amazing, but like Daniel got a lot better with
Right.
weapons and other things throughout. So natural progression.
That's right.
Does there need to be a team leader? Or military rankings a thing?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I need to talk about with my players. We're gonna have a chat sometime this weekend, hopefully. And I want to get their feeling on that, whether they want to designate somebody as the team leader. Because right now it's our swing player, who's the soldier character, and would be the logical person to have been assigned by General Hammond as the team leader. But it's SG2, so maybe they're a diplomatic team, maybe they're a science team. We'll figure it out, and I'll let you know.
I'm excited to see. What about you, Brian? What are you thinking for your campaign? How does that work out?
Oh, well, as of now, I haven't thought about it, but now I must. A lot of times I think that normally evolves as everybody starts playing. I think one person always tends to kind of step into roughly that role.
Yeah.
So maybe we decide that up front, or maybe, you just happen to be thrown together out of circumstance and you become the Phoenix One team during the mission versus starting out that way.
Yeah. That is so true that in like D&D, someone, just the natural flow, someone ends up being that person who like pushes them along. But I do think there is a nice opportunity with military rankings here.
Right.
And we all know that you do not have to listen to your superior. It happened all the time. You could
Wow.
disobey them all the time. So if you're not the leader, that's fine. It's some sort of freedom, So
It could create some nice, nice conflict when the leader does give an order and somebody decides not to follow it.
Those are some of my
Military chain of
favorite.
command, it comes with a price. So that you could just start weaving that into everything, and then again bring in that little bit of comedy as you're going through.
Exactly. The Daniel O'Neill back and forth all the time. Like, are you kidding me? Like, those are some of the most peak funny moments. I love them.
Yeah.
And so I think that could be a fun thing. And so I'd be curious to see how that goes. It'd be fun to be able to like call each other like our different military rankings and stuff too. And then maybe we get promoted at some point or something. I don't know. But interesting aspect that it's not usually a thing in D&D. So races and classes, how does that look in your campaign? Oh, we kind of discussed classes. What about like races? What available races are? So is like yours human only or Jaffa as well, Linda?
I'm gonna be using human, Jaffa, and Tok'ra. So I've got players who are gonna represent those, and if I personally were playing, I would so want to be a Tok'ra because there's that whole wonderful split personality thing going on.
I know.
So I'm definitely going with those, and because it's earlier, the race that was made up for the game, the Aturan, are 5 seasons away by where I'm going to be in time, and the Unis also haven't been met yet from where I am in time. So they may slip in there later. But I wanted to start with just those 3 races. And of course, humans can mean humans from other planets too. And I very much think we're having at least one of those amongst my players.
Okay.
So I'm not sure where they're from yet. They haven't told me.
We get to find out together. Yay. And then, maybe, either campaign, Tok'ra, maybe they're secretly a Gould, and we find out later on, I don't know, guys. I'm not saying anything. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. Whoever your Tok'ra is, I'm on to you. Okay? I'm on to you.
There's the mole hunt, always a mole hunt at least once.
What about you, Brian? What races we got as options?
They're pretty much open because of the nature of the Phoenix, where they were training all of these people from all of these different worlds. You could pretty much play any of them. Haven't really opened it up to some of the, they found somewhere somebody took some of the other races and created folks on those. So I've stuck into what's in the book, the Unas and such. But that doesn't necessarily mean we might not introduce something else over time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the fun of homebrew is you can make up your own alien if you feel so inspired.
And then they did encounter some other ones throughout the series. Never a lot, but it's always fun to kind of weave in those little touch points with the original canon now and then, just to ground the show in the timeline.
Feels familiar, as well for the players, the GMs, and the audience when you get to see that. And I know every single person now is going to be thinking about that Tok'ra as a Gould. All right, I don't know who you are. I'm on to you. Okay. Watch out. No. So how should a player handle it if they know something from the show, but their character would not know? Or do we
question.
give some grace, or are our players allowed to? I guess there's like this part of like, what do our characters know, and having to separate it from what we know. And I think there's different ways we could go about it, but meta, the fearful meta discussion, if you meta too hard because you know Stargate well.
Yeah, my entire group has watched every single episode of every series, probably including Infinity, like 60 times each. So this will be a problem with my group that I foresee. Um, it's one of the things that I'm gonna chat with them about and see how we all feel.
Yeah.
It's, I also think it's kind of in the moment. Is it something they could figure out with what they know already?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll get back to you on that one.
No, I'm curious, Brian. What about you? Do you have any initial thoughts on it?
I mean, it's kind of that. Okay, well, you got to deal with it. I think each situation by itself. Maybe it's a knowledge roll to see what you know. Maybe it's assumed. But I think it's also something that as we write things, I think we need to keep that in mind so that we can try to make sure that we're touching on what's going on and touching on the canon, touching on the lore, but just not replicating it so that if they do know something, it doesn't really hurt the flow of the story per se. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You just keep rolling with it.
Okay. Well, awesome. Yeah, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I'm sure we'll have some moments where it's like, okay, you don't know that. All right, you don't know what that device does. You haven't encountered it yet. You get hit by it. So
there you go. Yeah, it's always an opportunity.
Nope. Now you've learned. Now you know about it, but you got hit. No. So, okay. Last question in this sort of section about like the SG team. We hope to have guest stars to come join our table to have fun for a session. So if someone if we have a guest star like that, or we have an absence and someone is going to fill, do you have a way that you're going to handle that for like the story? Like, is Daniel on another planet on an archaeology mission and this person is filling in on SG2 sort of vibe? Is that kind of the vibe we're going to go for? So that way it's like not disruptive for immersion.
Yeah, somebody's in the infirmary or,
Okay.
visiting their aunt or whatever. Yeah, I think there are ways to deal with that. It's harder if you're doing a story that continues over 2 sessions. And I think we're going to try not to do that. At least I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to try to finish a game within a session so people can see the whole thing at once.
Yeah.
And so my players have that satisfaction and aren't left hanging for a month.
That's true. That's true.
I think, they'll just be off somewhere doing something.
Yeah. And the guest star just gets to wear the red shirt every episode.
That's a fun role to play, though. I've done that at times where I'm the red shirt into someone else's campaign, and it's so much fun.
It takes all of it. You kind of you could do whatever,
anything you want. It does not matter. That's some of the most fun stuff. And I know, like in some of my campaigns, if someone is out, it's just like and this is like the agreed upon thing with our table. They just kind of poof. They're just like not there anymore, And then when they're back, they're just poof. They're here, and we're fine with that. So,
but I think Stargate really does allow for that opportunity.
Oh, so much opportunity.
Like somebody could always be off-world doing something, an infirmary special mission or whatever, and then the person coming in could be an expert on something that's going to potentially be needed, like they did in the show.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways to work that in, but at the end of the day, just give them a red shirt and see if they survive.
I love it. I love it. Okay, we're getting into the section which can always be a little more to discuss, and it's kind of like table etiquette here. And I know in D&D there can always be tense moments and disagreements and stuff. So I just kind of want to set a baseline kind of for the expectations, so players who watch this kind of have a good idea when the audience understands. So to you, what makes a good or bad player for a table? You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but if you just have like a key thing about bad and good, let's get that out of the way now.
The person who tries to play everybody else's character for them.
Backseat character, yeah.
Yeah.
And since I play with kids so much, that's very much a thing that happens. And I've been known to settle arguments with Rochambeau that, you know, we're both very passionate about this. Okay, get out your rock, your paper, and your scissors and go, guys.
That's a good method.
He won.
Really good.
It's gone his way.
That's a good method. I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that. What about you, Brian? You have any like big things, big red flags or big green flags?
You know, I love it when people when they come and it doesn't even matter what, but they just have fun. They talk, they get creative with what they want to do. Rather than always worrying about, are we going to do this and should we do that? Just do it and see what happens. You know, don't get caught up. But then at the same time, on the flip side, don't take it too seriously. It's a game. We're here to have fun, you know. I've only in all my years have only had one true end game type argument where we ended the game early because of the argument going on. And it was two friends who'd known each other for probably 20 years. Just got a little bit too passionate. And so you can't take it all that seriously, but at the same time, take it serious enough to have fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people get invested in their character, and they can get invested, and then, you know, especially if you don't have rapport already, which I know. I think Linda, your table, you guys have some rapport, which is a big benefit. Brian, your table, we're all kind of new and excited, and I'm very hopeful and positive that we're not going to have any of these issues, and we won't need to Rochambeau. But, you know, okay, so I'll try to spitfire some of these. Joking and table banter, is it encouraged as long as we can still follow the story at the table?
Oh, definitely. Please.
Okay, awesome. It is going to be live streamed versus being like at home at the table. Is there anything you can think of that you'd like players to do differently than they might do at a private home game?
Well, this is probably more for me than for the table, and that's watch your language.
Okay, all right.
I sometimes slip, you know, especially when something is going really, really fun and really, really fast.
Yeah.
You know, everybody can slip up. And so just, you know, kind of just because you never know who's watching in Stargate, you know, at the end of the day, it's a family show. So I try to keep things PG-13-ish. And so, you know, a little bit's okay, but if you're going to go off on a tyrant, let's go out into the other room and then come back.
Yeah. I think that's good advice for any sort of, and you know what, even off camera, it's probably, if you're going to go off a whole bunch, there's another room. All right, Linda, did you have anything?
No, just I run a PG-13 table too. I already said that. You know, definitely we want to have fun, but we are being filmed, and if somebody's watching with their kid, because people watch Stargate with their kids.
Yep, I did.
And this is definitely a game that's playable by the kids.
Right.
And I know a lot of people bought the book and still really haven't learned how to play the game, and don't maybe know about all the possibilities, that you don't have to use the Phoenix setting, that you can set it at the SGC. You can set it on the moon base that Sam keeps wanting. You can do whatever you want as far as, where it is and at what point in time. You can make up some more rules and have it on Atlantis or on the Daedalus. It can go anywhere you want it to go, and you can take your kids with you.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We want to be able to share all the different opportunities and visions and creativity with everyone. So we don't want to make anyone feel too uncomfortable by like extreme, just extremities, I think, in a lot of different aspects or behaviors. I think that's super fair. If somebody has a rules question or disagreement during the game, how would you like that handled? You guys are the boss here.
I mean, for me, if you don't agree with it's kind of just go with the flow, because we're all going to screw up the rules, rather than disrupt the flow of the game and then talk about it afterwards, and we'll fix it for the next time. But if it is something that it is, you rolled X and you took like 50% of your life's damage in a single roll, and you don't agree with it, well, we'll stop and figure it out. But usually table kind of decides the rules as we go through. Because it's the flow of the game that's important. It's not the rules.
Yeah, I agree on that. And I think my crowd is kind of more likely to bend the rules as far as they can. And I mean, it is each person's table. You can use as much of the rules as intensely as you want, or you can just kind of skim them.
Right.
It's whatever's fun for your group.
Right.
Okay, awesome. I like that. Very open. I do think like there comes a time when you can air a disagreement or a question, but having it go on too long can sour the table a little bit, and especially when for live streaming. So I'm a big fan of the GM makes a call. You follow that call. We can discuss it after session at a different time. And if we find out that the rules are different and we want to treat that in the future differently, we can just do that moving forward. So that's kind of my vibe for it.
And we'll do that at the end of the game a lot, where I forget what the official term is, but what'd you like about it, what you didn't like about it, and what do you think you could do better? So everybody asks 3 questions to kind of get at those moments where they might not have agreed with something, so that the next time you can clean it up and won't have it.
Yeah, exactly. That's always the best D&D games and tables I've had, is when you can have that open dialogue. And kind of like going into that open dialogue, what is the best thing a player can do if they're uncomfortable with something happening during the game?
Say, can we take a break?
Okay. Can we take a break? That's a perfect one.
Yep.
My DMs are always open if you ever have any concerns or you're uncomfortable with anything. And I am 100% positive that Brian or Linda would also be 100% open and willing to talk it out with you. But I love that. We can take a break. We have a scheduled intermission during the live stream always, and we can always take more. All right. They're only like 5 minutes. So we're there for you. Okay. And then the last one in this section was, do you have like a highlight moment from prior Stargate games that made you really have fun as the Gatemaster? And can you tell us about it? What was your highlight?
Hopefully I won't spoil too much of the first episode, so close your ears for this one, since you'll be playing it. The guys I normally game with are probably on the more creative side of their solutioning. And so they're walking through a town and they obviously get attacked. And so they're in a firefight. And one of them's trying to figure out what to do with all these people coming after him. So he decides to climb up the side of the building, grab his camping tent out that's on a pneumatic charge on it, so it opens instantly. So he checks it off the side of the building and traps the people inside the tent. And I had to make a roll to see if he threw it. If he hit them on target. And if it happened to turn correctly, so the opening was right. And he made it all 3 times. So I'm like, yep, you did it. And after that, it was like, all right, I love this system because it allows for that creativity.
That's the best. I love that sort of stuff. And I wouldn't steal that anyways. I would be more creative. I'm going to try to make those moments. That's my goal every time as a player. What about you, Linda? Do you have any highlight moment?
Oh, just moments when everybody is like falling over laughing, and you can just look around the table and see that they are all having the best fun. I play tested the adventures I wrote for the RPG with a bunch of my students, and those were wonderful games. The kids didn't know Stargate really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
I showed them like an episode, and I'd explain the universe to them, and a couple of them had gone and watched some more at home. They all wanted to be an Unis.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't want to be an Unis, and I love that all of them wanted to be an Unis. That's awesome.
They were mostly 12-year-old boys, and they all wanted to be an Unis.
I just gotta say, the fiance, I like role play as an Unis, like on the couch though. Like that Daniel scene where he's like non chaka and like the meditation. I'll just, whenever there's like a sound that sounds like that, or I'm like tossing the remote or something, I quote that. And so maybe I should be an Unis because I have a lot of experience. None. When we're like, you choose the next thing to put on, you control the remote and skip the ads or whatever. So that's awesome though. A bunch of Unis. Oh man, I kind of want it now. That's so funny. Okay, so we'll have one little section and then I got some like closing fun stuff. So we're about to wrap up, y'all. To the audience, we will have like a audience engagement thing going on in each live stream, each episode, each mission. So there's a way for you to be engaged and have a little impact on the world to help the Stargate team, the players that you're watching. And so I really hope that you guys will watch and join us for that and engage and help the team be successful in their mission. And you'll get more detail for that later. Probably be a surprise until we get there. And I'm excited for y'all to see it. So closing. If there's one thing you wanted a player or the audience to remember from this entire video, what would that one thing be?
We're going to laugh and we're going to have fun.
Yep.
And try to creatively figure out problems.
Okay. I will do that. No, I will do that. Okay, awesome. Is there anything a new player should not worry about learning in advance? Like, is there something that's like, you don't have to worry about this, you don't need to be a whiz with this thing specifically? Is there anything like, don't worry about it?
Don't worry about anything.
Yeah, I was just saying.
I love that answer.
Yeah, I always, I've done enough of these to where it's always play to teach, especially in the beginning. And from my experiences, even experienced players don't care if it's play to teach because then you just don't have to teach so much. But everything's kind of set up to kind of bring you into the game step by step, creatively, so you'll learn as you go. So, I mean, you really don't worry about anything and we're going to do rolling through Discord, so you don't even need dice for it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be super cool because the dice roll across the whole screen. Yeah. So audience, you're not going to have to look. We don't need everyone to have a bunch of little cameras for their dice, or we're not going to look at just a text chat. These dice are going to be flying across the screen. Okay. So it should be a lot of fun. Okay. 3 little fun questions here at the end. If you could be a part of any SG team or mission, in any of the various Stargate series, which would you be a part of?
So what episode would I like to drop into?
Like if you'd rather be in Atlantis or like in SG-1 or Universe, or if there was a specific episode or mission where you're like, I would have loved to have been on that mission.
Ooh. I would definitely hang with SG-1.
Mm-hmm.
I've always pictured myself, I'm a librarian in real life, so I've always pictured myself as being the base librarian. Daniel must need someone to take care of his books.
That's so true. Good point.
I would have to say Atlantis, though I like the series better of SG-1, but I like the potential that Atlantis had with a whole new, everything's new, everything exploration. And I think they had some of my favorite cast members. Just from the Farscape series and some of those other ones. And then again, I grew up with MacGyver, so seeing him back,
I love MacGyver.
Either way, but I would, just from the aspect of everything was new in Atlantis, could be kind of more fun.
I'm total SG-1. I like Universe, guys, and that might be a hot take. I love Universe. But
I love Universe.
I love Universe.
That they didn't keep that going.
I was so upset. I was like, it's Firefly all over again.
Yes.
So why does this keep happening to us? Give us our show back. I need to know what happened on Universe. But SG-1 is by far my favorite, and I would have loved to have been in the Window of Opportunity episode. That's just peak. It's just peak. So before we get into those last two questions, I did get a question in chat. So I have a question as someone who comes more from the Critical Role world of RPGs and has always enjoyed the subtle romances of Stargate. What are the rules around flirting and romance?
That's
a good question. Good question.
2 of my players are a husband and wife.
So no flirting,
flirt or not. That's totally up to them.
I was going to say,
married, and if they want to flirt, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as everybody is comfortable with it, go for it. I think it brings in, a little bit more comedicness to it. It allows for it, especially if you get the nice triangle going. You could always have some fun with that. But again, it's if the table's comfortable, let's play it and see what happens and see where it goes.
So I'm assuming there are going to be some maybe recurring NPCs you guys are playing. So are you guys prepared for the players to start flirting up your NPCs? Are you guys ready? You got your pickup lines brushed up on?
I've had that encountered in the past. So
I've done it to my DM.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. And every single person will have a New Jersey accent at that point. And so I'll do it just so he has to speak a Jersey accent.
Well, if it starts up, we'll just start building it into everything from that point on.
There we go. Awesome. Okay, last two little fun questions. You walk through the gate. What enemy do you least want to find on the other side? From any Atlantis, Universe, SG-1. Which enemy are you like, nah, I don't mess with you. Nah, goodbye. Let me dial back.
I don't ever want to run into a wraith. I feel like I could handle the replicators. I just need my P90.
Yeah, it really depends on what you have. Like a super soldier sounds like a bad time. Like that always looked rough. Do I have the special, thing to get rid of it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Gold could be funny. Ball is great. So
I would say the Ori, just because you never know if they're gonna, you don't know,
and they're really dry.
Attack you or not you.
They're really boring too. Like you couldn't even joke around and have, with the okay.
No sense of humor, those guys.
Nope. And that's the worst off. Is if somebody you're like, okay, so what do you do with them?
Yeah, exactly. And like I feel like I could convince the replicators, like number 5, like we could be bros, I think. So, the Wraith, I don't know. Todd's won me over a little bit, so maybe I'd be okay. Super soldiers, I'm out. They suck, they're boring, and they look really creepy underneath the mask. Not for me. Okay, last one. I'm really curious. How do you say what ball is? So do you say Goa'uld or Gould? Because I know there's always the back and forth.
I've probably said all of them at some point.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you say which?
And probably a couple others as I'm talking and I screw up.
I have that moment where I don't know what it is. Like, it's like aunt and aunt. I say both, but I know some people are like, I only ever say one of them.
Right.
Ask me how I know. My fiance always points it out.
Yep.
But Gould and Goa'uld, I'm like, I don't know. Which is it?
You always try with the Goa'uld, but if you're on a rant, it's gonna slip into Goa'uld.
Yeah, it's one of those things that was pointed out as I show people. I bring new people into Stargate, and they're like, "What did they just say?" And I'm like, "It's the same thing as Gould or Goa'uld." And they're like, "What?" And then eventually, you get a few seasons in, and they're used to it too. But I've seen some people be like, "That is not how you say it. It's this," and I think it's a fun thing.
There's at least one episode where Jack says ghouls.
Oh yeah, okay. See, that's why Jack's like one of my top 2 favorite characters.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you guys for doing this live stream. I think everybody now has a much better idea of what's waiting for us on the other side of the gate. So just a huge thanks to you guys and putting all the work into creating these worlds and bringing us a fun table. And thank you to everyone in the audience who joined us for this briefing. This is only the beginning. Recurring players, hopefully special guests, audience interaction, and plenty of Stargate chaos once the missions begin. So keep an eye on the Save Stargate socials, the Discord, this YouTube channel for sure, when we'll pre-show our lives and everything. And our first mission is coming September 9th. So it's coming up. We got a lot of conventions going the next 2 weeks, and watch parties every Monday and Tuesday outside of when we do some D&D campaigns on Monday. And our mission briefing is complete. Chevron 7 is locked. Wormhole established. And we'll see you on the other side. Bye, guys.